So without further ado, let's get started. This is your Wheel and Anchor pre-trip webinar for our Southern Italy trip to Amalfi and Puglia, starting October the 16th. Our agenda today, first of all, I'm going to introduce your brilliant host, Beth, and then Beth and I are going to take you through just a few of the details that you should be aware of in preparing for this trip. We'll talk about your arrival into Naples, and I'll touch on the itinerary, just a couple of highlights here and there, a couple of things to be aware of, but we're not going to go into the itinerary in any detail. You've got all of the information already. But most importantly, if you do have any questions about anything relating to the trip, please do type them in the chat box or in the Q&A box. And there should be a menu bar either at the top or the bottom of your screen. You'll see chat on it. You'll see Q&A. It doesn't matter to us. Either way, we will see it and we will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. So let's start off right away. First of all, good morning or good afternoon now. It's a minute past 12. Beth, a regular host for Wheel and Anchor, a beloved host at that. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
Beth, you've done a few. What was your last trip with Wheel and Anchor? It was just in the spring. I think you were in.
In Morocco. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and so yeah, Beth does helps us out in a few other ways besides just hosting. So a valued member of our team, and we have wonderful feedback from our members who have had the benefit of traveling with Beth, and I'm sure will be the same with you guys on this trip to Italy. Just a quick point about what the role of the host is, particularly for those if you've not joined the Anchor trip before. Whoops, what happened? Oops, things are bouncing around on my screen here. If you've not joined a Wheel and Anchor trip before, the host is the person who is there on acting as a representative of Wheel and Anchor to ensure that all of the logistics go smoothly. We spend a lot of time, a great amount of time in making sure all the details are looked after, every reservation. A trip like this, we literally book everything ourselves, every restaurant, every driver, everything. And so Beth is there to make sure that all those arrangements that we've already made and already confirmed that everything goes according to plan, because it's travel and things sometimes don't go according to plan. So that's her number one role. But secondarily, she's also there to make sure that you have a good time and that you get the trip that you want. And so she can help you to sort of point you in the right direction, when there's free time and what to do and so on and so forth. So that's Beth's role. She is not our local guide. We have some wonderful local guides, and specifically you'll meet Ornella in Vico Equense, and she'll be taking you to Pompeii and to Mount Vesuvius and to Capri and around Sorrento. And she is a wonderful, wonderful woman, testament to her region in Italy. And similarly, you'll have Michele, will be the guide in Puglia, a great chap. Our members just love these folks. So they're the ones that have all the facts and figures and details and all the stuff that you're coming to this part of Italy to find out about. And Beth will be the liaison between you and them. And if you have any issues, questions, you go to Beth. Is there anything else I need to say about that, Beth, or have I pretty much covered off?
No, I think you've covered it. And then others as they arise.
Other things as they arise. Exactly. So Beth and I will talk about what you need to know for your pre-trip. And I'll start off by just reminding you about passport and documents. There aren't any documents that you need beyond your passport. If you have that, you're good to go as long as it's valid. We always say it should be valid for 6 months past the end of your trip. In Europe, they're not that picky about that. They also say you're supposed to have 2 empty pages, but they're not that picky about that either. But they can be, but they're usually not. So when you get to that point in your passport, you're already well traveled. And so I have had the situation where I've showed up in Switzerland with only 1 empty page, and they weren't super chuffed about that, but it's not like they denied me entry. I always, as a best practice, will use my phone, and there's my dog on the phone, and I'll take a picture of the passport information page. That way, You don't need to take your passport with you. Now it's interesting because we just had the previous webinar because there's a group that you're going to be crisscrossing with that's going to the same region at the same time, just in the opposite direction. Um, and somebody asked the question and said, "Wow, in Italy, you're legally obliged to carry ID as a non-EU national." That is true. And nobody, that law as it relates to Western tourists, I've never heard of it being enforced. Nobody's gonna like arrest you and fine you because you don't have a passport with you. If you have it on your phone, you're good to go. The authorities in Italy, they have other issues, which I'm not going to go into. Uh, so yeah, if you have your passport, say your phone or printed good to go, and any other documents that are useful, think about prescriptions. You if you need it on any way, passwords for email. Oh, it logged me out of my Gmail. Now I can't get my emails because I don't have my password. So think about those kinds of things. Those are the only documents you need to bring with you. But otherwise, you're good to go because, of course, Europe is visa free for up to 90 days for Canadian residents. About what? A little bit? Oh, dear.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
I wonder why that. All right. Let me see if I can. Yeah, see if I can fix that by turning other things off. Um, Yeah, okay. Let's see if that helps. VPN interferes with the connection. Let's see if that makes things better. Sorry about that. Okay, and that note though, I'll let Beth, you carry on and explain a little to folks about what they need to know
About
for
packing?
what to pack.
Sure.
Yeah,
So packing, I don't know about you, but I've already started. And the three things that I think about when I'm packing, I think about the season, obviously, and the weather, the activity level, which, as you probably know, for this trip is intermediate, and also the culture. And so, in terms of the weather, people probably already been checking. It's sort of like low tens to mid 20s, and that will vary during the day, and also depending on where we are in the region, and also whether we're on a boat or up a mountain. So, we really want to encourage you to bring different layers. You probably will want to have something for the rain, or at least a windbreak, some kind of a shell like that. And of course, there's going to be sun. I think we're all really looking forward to that as our days are getting shorter here in North America. So, sunscreen, hat, all the usual. One great thing about this time of the year and traveling in Italy is that we are going to have really beautiful weather. It'll be hot. We'll still have like the heat of the day, but it will be cool at night. So, we really want to encourage you to like have a sweater or a coat, those kinds of things. Um, in terms of activity level, I think one of the most important things I want to remind people of is the kind of places we're going to be walking, which will include a lot of cobblestone, some incline when we're moving from like the sea level up into the old towns.
yeah,
So you want to have something stable and sturdy on your feet. Also, we're going to have the option to be walking up Mount Vesuvius. So there can be loose gravel as well. So just be thinking about that. Something stable for your feet, I think is important. And then but it also relates to your actual luggage. So of course, we always want to encourage people to have a manageable size suitcase because we're moving it around on and off our buses and things. But also pulling it along cobblestones. So just keep that in mind too. The other thing, I'm just looking at my notes, in terms of culture. So we will visit some churches. So you probably want to have something, if it's a sweater or a shawl or a scarf, to be able to cover up your shoulders or have something longer than your knees, to show some modesty, and some respect for the culture, because it's really important to people that we're going to be moving with and people whose it's their local culture and churches. The other thing about packing I want to mention is, oh yeah, so also in terms of culture, so we probably all know, of course, Italy, and Italians dress very well. And so while it's always the wheel and anchor trips are casual. There'll be occasions where if we're dressed very casually, we may feel a little bit less prepared, because Italian people, especially in the cities, will be dressing a little bit more formally, a little bit more smartly. So it's always a good reason, in fact, to bring like a favorite nicer thing to wear. I think that's it for packing. Oh, I will post in the chat for those that have started to join, and I'll talk about Telegram after. But something that I find kind of helpful when I'm thinking about packing and especially taking less, so I have some room in my suitcase to shop a little bit. I look up capsule wardrobe videos or lists for the place that I'm going to in the season. So I'll post a couple of those because I've been looking and there have been some good tips for all different levels of dressing and different genders and things. So yeah, I think that probably covers it for packing.
Yeah, I think you nailed most of it there. I just want to add two things is um, throw in some swimwear. At the very least, you'll, again, depending on the weather, of course, but you'll want to take a swim at the hotel in Vico Equense. It has a wonderful pool overlooking the Bay of Naples. Super, super lovely. But you could also swim in the sea. It's not, October is still a time that's swimmable. There's a beach in the village below the hotel in Vico Equense. There may be the opportunity as well, not so much in Puglia because you're not really enough time to go into the water there. But I mean, you're visiting Otranto. If you're somebody like me that just has to dive in a body of water, if you see one, you may want to bring your swimsuit along. And if you are somebody that wants to again, like me, jump in any body of water, the a lot of the beaches, particularly in Puglia, are like pebbly, like rocky. So water shoes are handy. Not essential, just something that might want to think about. Secondly, keep in mind your electrical appliances. I just noticed it wasn't on our notes here. Um, you need Europe is 220. It's the two round pins. We're all familiar with it if you've traveled in Europe before. Most of your appliances, your certainly your phone charger and your camera and all that stuff works on dual voltage, so you shouldn't have an issue. But if you have something where you're not sure, like hearing aid chargers, we've heard some of them are work on 110 only, or a CPAP machine, or a curling iron, something with heating elements in them will only work on 110. So if you're bringing something electrical and you're not sure, please do keep in mind to check the label and make sure, because otherwise you would need to get a voltage converter, which is a whole different device, and they're not as easy to find nowadays, but you can get them, and particularly if you went to Amazon and ordered now. So if you have something like that, so double check. But I think otherwise you've nailed it. I think packing light, being casual, but keeping in mind, particularly if you're a foodie, there's some great restaurant opportunities on some of the free days. I mean, you're gonna have some amazing meals with us. Maybe that goes without saying, or maybe it doesn't go without saying, but I'm saying it anyway. But I know we've had members on previous trips that wanted to go to one of the Michelin star restaurants in Sorrento. For such occasions, you definitely want to dress a little bit the part, not formal, but let's say smart casual. So we'll leave it at that. Oh, and about the weather, the trends say the weather should be in the high teens to the low 20s. It could be 30, it could be 10. If I was to guess, it's more likely to be closer to 30 than it is to be closer to 10, but you just don't know. So therefore, that whole layering approach is important. And when you're on the boat trips to Amalfi, Positano, so down the Amalfi coast to Capri, it can be cool on the water because we're in a small vessel. We're in a chartered, that private boat just for the group. So that's when a shell and something, a fleece, may be helpful if it's a cool day. Good. I think we covered most as far as the packing is concerned. Beth, let's now chat about money. Do you want to say a few words about what folks should
Sure.
do in terms of money?
Sure. So I'm sure we're all aware that in Italy, it's the euro is the currency. And it's very easy to use your credit cards in most shops and restaurants, the larger ones anyways, and to access money through the ATM. So we also recommend, in terms of currency exchange, sometimes people like to have an app on their phone. xe.com is a good one. But also what I discovered, um, surprisingly, is that the calculator on the iPhone also works as a converter and exchange.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
know.
didn't even know that.
Yeah, so that's my pro tip of this call. And I checked the exchange rate today to see if it was comparable to what XE was showing for the euro, and it is. It's exactly the same. So I've used that many times because it's also, if you're shopping, you just want to check what something is. So yeah, if you don't want to download a whole other app and you've got an iPhone, that's something you can use. Um, One thing to keep in mind is usually most ATMs, the maximum amount of withdrawal per day is usually around 250 euros. It might change give or take, but that's usually about it. And you definitely want to have small amounts of money, for like smaller cafes or little bars, and also for the public toilets, which are take €1 coins. Of course, we wouldn't need to use that in most restaurants, washrooms and things, but things like that. And also for housekeeping tips. The one thing for those of us that have traveled with us at Wheel and Anchor before, you know that we really talk about and encourage people to use the Wise card. It's something that all of us use. And it's a really great card. It's basically a debit card, but you can use it as a credit card. So you can tap and pay. You can also withdraw money. And the advantage of it is that the fees are very low and the exchange rates are excellent, and you don't pay extra banking fees. So it's a really great way to save. They're very secure. And most ATMs, and I've traveled, I think, in probably 8 or so countries, and I've been able to, like, all around the world, and I've been able to use Wise in most places. We still encourage people to have like another credit card, ATM card with them just in case, because machines can be uh, finicky. But we really recommend the Wise card. So if you haven't gotten it yet and you're interested in doing that, I would do that as soon as possible. You can basically apply now and get it digitally and use it in your digital wallet, like almost right away. But to get the actual physical card, it can take, we say 3 to 4 weeks. It could be 2 weeks. So we're still in the zone, if you did want to do that. And you just load it up and use it. And it really, one thing that I really value about it is that it shows me, like, it's got a super easy interface to work with, but it also shows all the banking costs and you see the exchange rate, and it's just really easy to use. And I mean, we're going to get to know each other, and you're going to discover that I use a lot of tech because that's required and part of this job, but I'm not a super techie. So I can say to those who are like, oh yeah, not another tech thing, it really is useful and helpful and not complicated. Is there anything
Not
else you think
complicated.
about that?
No, I think you've nailed it. As soon as whenever I leave Canada, I'm literally getting on a flight in an hour. I pull out the Wise card and I don't look back. It is the best thing for managing foreign currency. It's so great. So the only other thing I just wanted to mention is, sometimes we have members that are like, oh, I'm going to run to the bank and get euros from the bank. I wouldn't do that. Honestly, banks in Canada are not great at handling foreign currency other than US dollars, to be honest with you. So you'll get a lousy exchange rate. They probably won't have it on hand. You got to, it's a hassle. Honestly, you land in Italy, in Naples, or if you're transiting via Germany or something like that, just go to the first ATM, get some euros. The best way to do it. Don't bother trying to get it in Canada. I also don't recommend. I mean, you can certainly exchange cash, but again, you're getting a lousy exchange rate, particularly if you use the kiosks in any airport. So I swear the best way, Wise card or a credit card or a debit card, just stick it in any ATM and just take out money like you would at home. You don't need tons of cash, as Beth mentioned. Some small change for a tip here or a tip there. That's
Oh, you muted yourself, Gordon.
I,
You're
I pressed the wrong
gesturing.
button. I went to press something and I muted myself instead. I was just going to say about gratuities. So the gratuities are covered for all the services. You've paid for them in advance for all the services that we provide, all the drivers, the guides, the porters, if there are any, all that stuff we have factored in, and that's all prepaid. And Beth will take care of all those people along the way. So the only place that you need to do gratuities is if you're out dining alone, or if you feel like tipping your housekeeper, that's up to you, or the person that brings you from the airport to your hotel, because obviously we're not there to look after them. If they're friendly and helpful, but it's not like here, it's not like a firm expectation. It's a nice thing to do. It's at your discretion. How do tips work in Italy? For the most part, there, if you go to a coffee bar, and you'll notice in Italy people go to the coffee bar, they don't even sit down, they stand, they drink their espresso, they drink their cappuccino, they leave. You don't need to tip in those environments. You can certainly round up, but it's not necessary. In nicer restaurants, like a sit down restaurant, you can round up the bill. And if it's really like a formal restaurant, yeah, 10% would be expected if it's not covered already. So you need to look at the bottom of the bill and you might see servizio. So you might see service added to the bottom of the bill. More and more places are doing that in Europe, in which case there is no requirement to tip. Um, One other thing, and this came up again in the last webinar, you might also see it when you're in a restaurant. Be mindful of this because I know it catches people off guard, is restaurants in Italy will usually charge a coperto, a cover charge. So there is a fee for sitting down. Could be €2 at a more casual place, up to €4 at a fancier place. That is the cost of sitting at the table and eating the bread, as it were. So don't be surprised by that. That is just how it works in Italy. Um, Good. I think I covered everything on gratuities. Let's move right along. Um, uh, Beth, I'll let you talk about Telegram, but I'm first going to mention about mobile communications. First and foremost, bring your phone. In this day and age, it's you don't go anywhere without your phone, right? We used to say money, tickets, passport. Now we don't need tickets and we don't need money because it's all electronic. You need your passport and you need your phone because the phone is the way to stay in communication with us via Telegram. Beth will explain about that in just a moment. How do you use your phone? Three options. You can just bring your phone, turn your data off from home, and just use Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is available in all the hotels, most restaurants. You can find Wi-Fi anywhere. But if you want to be online all the time, and let's face it, we now live in an online world, and you want to use Google Maps or Google Translate, or you want to look something up or ChatGPT, then it's good to have obviously mobile data. You then have two options. You can either use your plan from home, which is expensive, Rogers and Bell, and apparently Telus has a new deal for $60 roaming plan in Europe, which is quite good for Canadian standards. So, or you can get a SIM card on arrival in Italy, like the little plastic ones that fit on the side of your phone here. They are available from retailers on the ground in Naples when you arrive. And Beth or the hotel will be able to point one out as to where you get one. You do need to show a passport. Again, if you have it on your phone, that usually suffices to be able to get a SIM card in Italy. It's usually about €30, which will give you a month and more gigabytes than you can probably use. Or you can get an eSIM if you have a newer phone, so a phone that was made in the last few years. Most of them accommodate eSIMs. That's an electronic version of this thing here. And so there are hundreds of providers. We don't recommend any particular one only because we don't have one that we can honestly say this is the best one. A lot of our hosts use Airolo, Airolo, and if you go online and you book a plan for Italy or for Europe or wherever the case may be, it's also a cost-effective way of getting yourself online. And yeah, that's basically that. And why Telegram? So, Beth, explain about Telegram, how it works, and why it's important for our trips.
Sure. So Telegram, you've probably already received, no, you would have already received in pre-trip information from other parts of the Wheel and Anchor team, the request that you connect with me on Telegram. So I'm at Beth L. Easton WA. and Telegram. And so we use Telegram as a way to communicate with one another during the trip. And there are two things that are focused on. One of them is a one-way channel where I post all the information usually every night or early in the morning, depending on if there's changes to the itinerary that are last minute. But I'm communicating and pushing out information to you about each day, what's happening, if there are new information, and there almost always is, about the day and what we're up to. And so it's sort of the channel is the official place where the itinerary, which isn't finalized yet and often is changing all throughout the trip a little bit, like tweaks because we've learned that a road is closed or we have to leave an hour earlier or something. So it really is important that everybody, it's actually required, Wheel and Anchor requires it now, that everybody have a Telegram account and use it and say hello to me. I'll connect you to the channel, and then I'll also connect you to the chat. A number of people have reached out to me to say hello already, and I've been able to chat with them and then put them into the official trip chat, where it's an opportunity for everybody to be talking to one another should they want to, and share information about like, hey, we're going to go for a drink, or is anybody interested in going for a walk, or we're meeting here. And it really is, if you've been on a Wheel and Anchor trip before, I think you would also attest to the fact that this Telegram really enhances the trip. It enhances our sense of like, what's up? What are we going to do? What's fun? But also if there are any last minute changes that people need to know about. And as I said, there already is, or there almost always is. But also it's, if somebody gets turned around when we're out as a group and, we'll be with a
Yeah.
guide, we'll be together. But this is one of the most important things. And I don't think I've been on a trip where somebody hasn't, for some reason or another, been separated. And it's Telegram that lets us find one another and
Yeah.
connect. And so I know sometimes people are like, I have enough apps. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to do it, which I totally get. I want to just say that.
Totally.
But I'm prepared to do whatever I can to help make it easy for you to do it. So, and to use it, I will, in the orientation, I'll do just a very quick little thing about how to pin, how to use it. And also, if you are needing to be reminded or more information, it's like no problem. I'm so willing and wanting to support people to use the tech well, because the tech really enhances the trip, which is sort of surprising. You think it's like, what's the quality of the wine? That's going to be like the kind of trip of the weather, but it really helps. So if you haven't yet said hello to me and started and activated your Telegram account, please do that as soon as you're able to. And know that I'll be following up via email if I don't hear from you, saying hello, please go to Telegram and find us. And also, I just want to say that you want to join Telegram before you leave Canada, because you need to be able to use your own telephone number to just confirm it. So just if you could add it to a list of to-dos, it's really important. It really will help. And and I post a lot of interesting information. I'm going to post some podcasts. I'm going to post some things about capsule wardrobes and some other things about food. So, and other people do that too. So it's really, I think I've promoted this enough. I think, I'm into
Yeah.
it. Please do it.
Please do it. Please do it. As you say, great. Thanks for that overview. That's great. And you can see once you get used to it, I'll tell you, it's worth it. And then we still have members from trips years ago that are still communicating with each other on Telegram. So, but of course, the why we use Telegram is because you can just delete it also when you return. If you don't want to talk to anybody anymore, you just delete the whole thing, and nobody will be any the wiser because you're not obliged to share personal information through that. That's partly why we use it. So. Let me talk quickly about health protocols. Really, only three things I want to mention. First of all, if you feel unwell during the trip, if you develop a cough or a sneeze or anything like, you have symptoms of something, let Beth know, and please wear a mask. I think it goes without saying in this day and age, right? You're going to be traveling together on smaller mini coaches and all the rest of this to get it from place to place. We just want to keep everybody from, in the eventuality that you should feel unwell, that would be appreciated. Secondly, if you should injure yourself at any time during the trip, even something minor, please let Beth know. We tend to err on the side of seeing a clinic, even for the most minor stuff. We are really, for us, health and safety is obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, it is number one. And so we want to make sure we return you home in the same or better condition, maybe with a couple extra kilos, but that's a whole other matter. We have no control over that. But yeah, so and the nice thing about Italy is that emergency healthcare services are actually free for everybody. Which is again not to say that you shouldn't have travel insurance. You must have travel insurance, but they're very helpful in Italy when it comes to that kind of thing. Last thing is just no smoking during wheel and anchor sanctioned events, activities, or transportation. I think that goes without saying, and I won't say any more about that. Let's fast forward to about a month from now, or 29 days from now. The day before you leave, keep an eye on your email messages and your text messages to see if the airline lets you know. Oftentimes, they know in advance if there's going to be a delay. If you do anticipate a delay, not a here's the thing, you're nobody's obviously flying, there's no nonstop flight to Naples, so you're going to be flying via Frankfurt, via Munich, via Amsterdam, via wherever you're flying to get to Italy. If you miss your connecting flight and you don't get on the flight to Naples, please, 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 you need to let Beth know at the earliest opportunity so that she can rearrange your transfer. Because otherwise the driver's looking for you and then they leave and then it's a bit of a fiasco. So if you're not on the flight that you are supposed to be on, let Beth know, and she'll try to orchestrate things. That's assuming you're arriving on day one. If you're arriving in earlier, you'll have made your own arrangements anyway. Beth will be there a day before the rest of the group just to make sure that everything is in order and that everybody's prepared for your arrival. Um, and yeah, that's about all that you need to know. Have a comfortable flight. I always say dress comfy because it's a flight, and flying overnight is never fun. And when you arrive into Naples, you will collect your luggage, of course, and go through the customs clearance zone and meet your driver who will be in the hall. Naples is a uh yeah, it's an older airport. It's decent enough. It's a little chaotic, but not too crazy. But if you don't see your driver right away, they will be standing there with a sign, either with a wheel and anchor on it or your name on it. If you don't see them right away, just have a look around. Sometimes they're not. I mean, they should be there standing, obvious, but if there's a lot of people arriving, it may be a little bit tricky. And otherwise, again, log on to the internet and send a message via Telegram to Beth, and she will make sure that you get connected with your transfer driver. And then you'll be brought into your hotel in the middle of Naples, and the trip will get underway. Oh, just something. Not all drivers in Italy speak English. In fact, a lot of them don't, or maybe they do, but they don't want to. Or so keep that in mind. That communication with the driver may be tricky. Sometimes they're not even Italian. In fact, often they're not even Italian, and so you may struggle a little bit with language. Obviously, they know where they're going, but if you have questions or any concerns, that's again where having a phone that's activated is handy because you can always use Google Translate or something to communicate that way. You'll arrive into Naples, and I'll just give you a quick rundown of the trip once again. Um, so you're starting in Naples, of course, is where you're flying to. Some arriving by train into Naples. We're just spending a night there, and then you're making our way down to Vico Equense, which is this lovely town with a beautiful hotel, the Angioleri, which overlooks the Naples. You can see Naples, you can see Vesuvius. It's a great spot. You're a 12-minute train ride from Sorrento. It's about a 10-minute walk to the railway station. And from here, of course, you're going to be visiting Capri. You're going to be visiting the Amalfi Coast, Pompeii, Vesuvius, all these great activities. And as I say, the town itself is nice because it's Italian. Unlike Sorrento, it's why we don't stay in Sorrento, is because Sorrento is a lovely town, and you'll certainly spend time there, but it's very touristy. So the the most prevalent language there is not Italian anymore, but that's okay. Then for the second part of the trip, you're going to go overland. It's a very scenic drive overland. You're going to stop in Matera, one of my favorite towns. It's a jaw dropper. It's really quite amazing. Make sure your phone is charged for the photographs that day. And then you're going to be spending some days in Loco Rotondo at the lovely Masseria Aprile, um, which is a family-owned spot. Again, it's probably the most favorite cozy spot on the trip. Our members really, really love it. And you're going to be visiting some of the places in central northern Puglia from here, like Polignano e Mare and Monopoli, and then heading down to Lecce for the last few days, which is in the heel of the boot, going truffle hunting, going down to visit Otranto, some lovely spots along the way. So, as I said, I'm not going to go into the details of all this. I just wanted to give you the overview. Naples, when you arrived, it's a gritty city. In fact, we've had feedback from some members about, oh, it occurs so dangerous and dark and all the rest of these things. It's generally fine. However, like in any big city, you need to be just cautious, mindful. Don't walk out alone at night. It's not like somebody's going to grab you from every corner in Naples. It's not as dangerous as it might seem, but it is, one of the grittier cities. So I just leave it at that. And we're staying close to the old town, and it's beautiful for what it is, but it's not like Florence. Let's put it that way. Um, so that's Naples. Then again, you're going to drive from Naples all the way along the coast here. This is Mount Vesuvius in the picture. You're going to be driving along here, and Vico Equense is basically right in the right-hand corner of the picture over here. You're going to be staying there for 5 nights in the Angioleri. And as I say, going out to all these different places. You can get to Sorrento. It's about a 10-minute walk up to the railway station and then take the train into Sorrento if you want to go outside of when we go during the trip. Other members on previous trips have gone in for dinner or they've stayed on longer in Sorrento and come back later. All possibilities. The hotel also offers a shuttle service to the railway station and to Vico Equense as well, sporadically. So that's Vico Equense here. That's looking out over Vesuvius in the background there over the bay. Again, it's a lovely spot. The best gelato place in all of Italy is in the town of Vico Equense. So if you're a gelato fan, I certainly am. That's ice cream. You're probably going to want to seek that one out when you do your little orientation tour around Vico Equense. You're going to be traveling, as I mentioned, by boat to the Amalfi Coast. It's the best way to go because the traffic is a nightmare along that road. And so you'll stop in at Positano at Amalfi and you'll get to see this spectacular vista of the Amalfi Coast. However, it can be a bit rough because you're in a smaller vessel. So if you're somebody that suffers from motion sickness, you may want to put in some grab all, some, whatever it may be. Or, some people still use the patches or bands, or there's various mitigation measures that you can take. You're also going to be traveling by boat to Capri. Some people call it Capri, but it's properly pronounced Capri. When you're there, in Capri. You also have to keep in mind you're going to get off the vessel. There is a systematic way of moving tourists around the island, and so we don't have a dedicated bus because you can't have that. You have to simply follow the Ornella, who's your guide. She's a master at it. In fact, it's a wonderful thing to watch how she negotiates about how we get a quicker bus than the next group that's beside us. So keep that in mind in Capri. That's just how it works there. But it's a very cool experience. As I say, you'll make your way over to Loco Rotondo. This picture actually is from Alberobello, which is the town that is famous for these trulli houses, the conical shaped stone roofs that you'll find. You are staying in the Masseria, which is about a mile outside of Loco Rotondo. It's a hilltop town. We provide in the evening a taxi service so you can go in for dinner and come back out. You could walk, but walking there and back for most people is probably going to be a bit much. That's why we have made arrangements so that you can get to town and back. Again, it's a great spot, and we're keeping you pretty busy in Loco Rotondo anyway. Then, as I say, the last part is Lecce. Lecce, the best time to enjoy Lecce is in the golden hour. So an hour before sunset, through sunset, and into the early evening, because the town just has this wonderful glow to it. At night, it's lit up by all these lanterns, and I swear it's like stepping into a movie. It's a remarkable place. So do get out and walk around in Lecce at night. It will be well worth it. So just a few of the tips that I wanted to mention. Beth will have a list of some of the restaurants that our members have frequented in the past. We'll have lots of info for you to enjoy. Now is the time to, if you have any questions that we have not addressed, I do have a note here from Deborah. She's asking if there's any specific notes for US citizens. Basically, everything I've talked about applies whether you are Canadian or from the States. You might want to double check about passport and all the rest of it, but there's no requirements, no special requirements for those carrying a US passport. And as far as the roaming plans and so on, we don't have any information on that. We don't provide it for Canadians either. So you have to just inquire as to what the best option is for you in terms of being in communication. But otherwise, everything should be pretty clear. Let's see. Another question has just popped in. Laundry. Yeah. So laundry is the hotel in Sorrento, which is of course the beginning of the trip. Sorry, in Vico Equense will have laundry service. That's the beginning of the trips, probably when you least need it. The Masseria, the family-owned accommodation, does not have laundry service available, so you won't have it there. There is laundry you can get in Lecce at the end of the trip. There you can find places that are not far from the hotel. So yeah, keep that in mind that laundry, except in the first hotel, easy. Then from there on, it's a little trickier because the hotels don't necessarily provide it in Lecce. I'm not 100% sure if the hotel is providing laundry or not. That is a good question. Maybe Beth, if you don't have it, laundry, yeah,
I'll find
limited in
out.
the hotel, but yeah. So Beth can check into that for you. But I would try to come so that you can go fend for yourself through the whole trip, if possible. But we have had members that have gone out and found little laundromats close to the hotels. Um, there are many safes in most of the hotels. No, I noted here. Um, for getting around, you can use taxis in Italy. They're on the expensive side. They don't really have Uber the same as we do here. They use different services in Europe. And so, uh, it's tricky. Sandra asked as well, are there mini fridges in the accommodations? There are not in the Masseria, to my knowledge, and not in Lecce, but there's a good chance that I think that they'll have a mini bar or a fridge in Vico Equense at the Grand Hotel Agnoleri. It's a five-star hotel, so you should be good there as far as picking some things up. There are, I just wanted to mention as well, there are how many people on your trip? 13 members of the trip plus Beth. So you've got a nice small group. It's perfect size to be touring around. Um, oh yeah, Janice asked here about hop on, hop off in Naples. There is a hop on, hop off bus in Naples. Um, I do recall a comment from one of the members that he did that in the past, that they were quite disappointed by it. I have not done it myself. I can't speak from firsthand experience, but I do know that somebody did it and was not happy. So I think the best thing there is to look at a Google or ChatGPT and do some due diligence. We don't know what is sort of good and not. Um, so yeah, that's yeah. I can't really give you an honest answer because I'm not 100% sure. Sue and Phil asked about jeans. Absolutely wear jeans. Jeans are very common in Italy, so jeans are absolutely acceptable. Um, uh, Susan and Phil also mentioned to me about they sent an email about strikes in that happen in September. Strikes happen in Italy, like in France and so on, all the time. I mean, this is just it's very common. So it's possible there could be a strike at a train or an airport. In this case, unless you're arriving or departing by train, we don't have any train journeys in the trip. Um, and as far as airports are concerned, obviously, if we're aware, we will, that's what Beth is there on the ground to do, is help, figure out how we're going to mitigate that situation. But yeah, it's impossible to pre prepare because you just don't know. They often don't announce them until a few days beforehand. So you just have to go with the flow. But we will obviously do our best to make sure that you get to where you need to go if it is going to affect your journey. Um, Janice asked, rough idea of euros per day. That is a tough call. It's a little bit like how long is a piece of string in the sense that it kind of depends on what your shopping appetite is. I mean, you have a lot of most things included on the trip. Obviously, we do generally 2 meals a day because we find most members are more than happy with the amount of food that is provided. So you need a sandwich here or there. So if you're not a shopper and you just, want to buy yourself a glass of wine or a sandwich for lunch or a light meal, if you budget 20 or 30 euros a day, you're probably going to have sufficient. If you're somebody that shops, well, the sky is the limit in this part of Italy, and there is great shopping, particularly clothes. I always buy stuff in Italy. So, but for all that stuff, you can use your credit card, so you don't really have to worry about cash. So if you had a couple of €100 with you, that's probably going to get you a good way through the trip. You'll probably be in pretty good shape. So great questions. Thank you for all of those questions. I addressed that. I addressed that. I addressed the strikes. Are there any other questions before we sign off? Is there anything else, Beth, that I haven't mentioned that you thought of? I think I've gone through all our notes and seen that there's everything that we need to talk about.
Yeah. I just have one thing. It's I think you're all going to think like I'm a super techie, but it's about jet lag, and time shifter. So this is another app that most of
Yes.
us at Wheel and Anchor use, and we always mention it to our guests because, of course, we all want to make the most of our time when we arrive. And some people are arriving a day or so in advance, and other people are arriving and hitting the ground running. But there's an app that you can use. You can get a free subscription as well, and it allows you to kind of prepare for a couple of days in advance to take the edge off or eliminate. I've had it eliminate and take the edge off different ways for your trip. So it's basically you sort of adjust your sleeping, you adjust light. If you drink caffeine, you adjust that a little bit. But it's actually very, very effective. And so it's called Time Shifter.
Time Shifter. It's a great app. If you think of another question, oh, I see another question. Wine with meals, do you pay for what you drink, Sandra? Yes, you have to pay for it. So the wine is generally not included. Beth may sponsor a round or two here and there. And we certainly include it for our welcome dinner. But yes, generally speaking, you pay for what you drink, so they'll come around and collect. And sometimes some members will share a bottle with other members, or I'll buy a bottle today and you'll buy a bottle tomorrow. But you can also obviously order wine by the glass in Italy, and it's generally delicious, and it's generally a lot cheaper than in Canada. And yeah, but that'll be settled up with each meal. So another good question. Thank you for asking that. If you have a question that comes up just after the webinar is over, of course, with regards to day-to-day logistics of the trip, you're welcome to send a Telegram message to Beth. You can also message our office. Melody is our after-sales support person, who is the one that can answer most questions. She doesn't know the answer. She will certainly find out. And beyond that, I would say bon voyage and have a good time. Italy is one of my favorites. It's been a while since I've been there. I think since the last time I was in Puglia. So say hello to Italy for me. Say hello to our wonderful local guides, and most of all, have a fantastic time and enjoy every moment of it. And I look forward to hearing your feedback when you come back. Beth, any final words from you?
No, just I look forward to seeing all of you in Italy so soon, and know that I will be there in Naples a day ahead. I think if some of you are there, so I will just let people know when I've arrived, and if you have any questions you want to connect before, you're welcome to do that. And also, yeah, I won't check Telegram every day, but I will check it regularly now between now and the trip, and I'll also be posting information. So that is a great place to message me. You can message me directly through Telegram, or you can message in the chat if you like.
Perfect. Great. Thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful trip to Italy. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a great month between now and then. Bye bye.
Bye.